to hashtag sports.
Well, Paul, here we are again at the end of another Buffalo Bills victory. This is getting old, man. This is getting really old.
This is not getting old. You realize that it's 11:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are going to be together for the very first moments of a Bills victory Tuesday. This year we've had a bunch of Bills victory Mondays, but Bills victory Tuesday. What is this prime time thing?
Well, it's technically...
What is this?
What is this nonsense?
Respect? What's that?
When does this happen to Buffalo, ladies and gentlemen? Well, first of all, before we get into any of the particulars for tonight, we wanted to thank you all for joining us here at Hashtag Sports, where we are trending now and trending later. We wanted to mention that we are also on iTunes and Spotify as well. We also want to throw a shout out to our hashtag heroes. As we stated many times on previous episodes, 100% of the channel memberships will be going to the Punt Foundation, as well as all the super chats and everything that we collect. We're trying to get up over 3,000 for the donation that we're going to have in the second or third week of January. So we're very proud to be doing that. And you guys were the ones that did that for us. So we can't thank you enough. But the Buffalo Bills, once again, Paul, I told you this right before the end of the game. And yes, in the chat, Pierre, Stefan, Michael, Anthony, Apex, Paul, 9-7. Okay. They're losing out. All right. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. Anyway. All right. I jumped off of that bandwagon like 4 weeks ago. You guys keep telling me. I blame C19. That's what I do. I told Paul, and I'm going to get your initial thoughts on this, Paul. I told Paul just at the end of the game, I'm like, you know what? This felt a lot, to me, it felt a lot like the Seattle game where you're just beating up a team repeatedly and you only win by 10. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to say that as a knock, only winning by 10. A win's a win in the NFL, okay? Mm-hmm. You win any way you can.
Right.
A lot tougher game, as I stated on the Cold Front Report on the tailgate on Saturday. It was going to be a lot tougher game than people expected, but I did not expect Josh Allen going 80%, 375, 4 touches. Mm-hmm. Initial thoughts on the game and how the Buffalo Bills played today, Paul?
Yeah, first off, big, like, if you want to talk about a win that shows the rest of the NFL that you're legit, this is it. Like, I understand that this is against the 49ers team that is banged up, and their skill position players that played tonight, they're impressive. Like, this is a good football team and a very well-coached football team. Like, I don't think you can walk away from the 49ers saying that they're not well-coached given what they've gone through. But that 17-point second quarter, and then after that, it really was, you just had to match. Whatever they did, you just had to match. Yep. And the Bills were able to pull it off. If you look at the third quarter, 10 points for the Buffalo, 10 points for the 49ers. You look at the fourth quarter, 7 points for the 49ers, 7 points for the Bills. You just had to match, right? You had a 2-score advantage at that point. You really just had to go punch for punch. And the Bills showed that they could do that. And they didn't rush. They didn't hurry. They didn't, they didn't push to try and put the team away, which I think might bother some folks. But this was a game that they were in control of pretty much the whole time, outside of that, a couple scary moments in the first quarter. This was a very calm, cool, and collected Bills team that made the 49ers throw the football a lot, which is what they don't want to do. The 49ers do not want to have a quarterback throw for 300 yards. That is not their offense. And Mullins was able to do it tonight, but it is not their comfort zone. And the Bills did a great job of pulling them into deep water for that, right? Because that's really what made the Bills, they were able to shade against the run, or shade off the run a little bit, because they knew, the score was the score. 49ers were going to have to beat them through the air, and that's just not, they're not going to do that against Buffalo.
Yeah, I just want to go. Anthony said something in the chat really interesting. He said, did Brian Daboll sign his head coaching tender with that Monday night performance against Saleh? You're missing Solomon Thomas and Bosa, dude. I mean, if you think Warner's your best player on the San Francisco defense right now, you take away the second and third best players, which is Thomas. In my opinion, it's Thomas and Bosa. After you do that, I mean, think about it this way. Take the second and third best players off of the Buffalo Bills offense. Who are you taking off of there, Paul?
Right.
You know what I mean? So how would Brian Daboll, well, you could say that maybe John Brown's your third best player on the offense. Behind Allen and Diggs, You would have to assume. I mean, unless you're counting Lyman on there, but he for what the guys had to work with all year, with all the injuries, with all of the guys on IR, with all the guys testing positive, it is really tough. And that guy did a hell of a coaching job today. So, but to your point with the running game, Paul, you think about this game, in the whole totality of it, it really was 34-10 if you want to think about it. If you want to think, the Bills, they caused some turnovers and they were able to score off of it, but the 49ers, their first turnover, which they scored on, they had to go 3 yards. It took them 3 plays to go 3 yards. And then at the end of the game, you're just playing prevent. You're just playing okay. All right, sweet, whatever. At that point, you're up 34-17. You care, but you're like, okay, just let's get out of this game without any injuries. Ryan Montang, thank you, sir. When we win the Super Bowl, how much do we pay Cash Allen? He might be up there in Deshaun Watson area, I think. Not quite Mahomes, but he'll be in Deshaun Watson area.
And in a year where we just heard that they might just leave the salary cap flat next year.
Oh my God.
Right? Which would impact Allen significantly, right? Because right now with the salary cap, they're looking at going down $20-ish million next year.
Yeah.
They're talking about just leaving it flat. That gives the Bills another $20 million to work with, right? Not that you're going to restructure Josh Allen's final years of his deal. You don't want to do that. You want to leave them alone. But Allen, Deshaun Watson money is very gettable. Very, very gettable.
Now, I have to ask you this, Paul, and I'll put this, I see it in the chat coming up all the time. You guys think that this Buffalo Bills defense is back to where it was for the past 2 years? Do you think that they're starting to do some of those things? I mean, Mullins tried to target Wallace the majority of the day. And that first pass interference call, I don't know how you call that pass interference. I don't. I really don't. I mean,
that was a tough call.
It's a no call in my book. You don't.
Well,
call
we
that.
we really didn't have the angle on it. He might have been tying up the left hand.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows when that happens?
I didn't see it, but I get why it would get called. That early in the game, I get why it would get called.
They want to set a precedent for the rest of the game, and I understand that. But you got Levi Wallace coming in with 10 tackles. Hyde had 12. Edmonds had 7. Poyer had 7 as well. Teron Johnson, it's just, I saw him on a play where he blitzed and he got right into the running back and he got turned around inside the hole. He was surrounded by like 2 guards and a center. He didn't care.
Yep.
He did not care. It was just really funny. Defense, we got Chivas Gold. Defense is waking up. Paul is being nice from Ultimate Control. 146 in the chat, only 30 likes. Let's go, Nation. Yeah, let's go, baby. Thank you very much for that.
Butcher's Block, will y'all please take a loss so we can make the playoffs? Think of it as a Christmas present. The Bills are not going to lose to the Patriots, my man. Jared Stidham time is coming week 17. Jared Stidham time. But the era is here.
It's great that you bring that up, Paul, because I'm so interested because the Bills are not going to play Nick Mullins in the playoffs. The Bills are not going to play Jared Stidham in the playoffs. They're not going to play Tua. Nope. They might play Tua, actually. If they keep playing the way that they're playing. Edmonds had 209 tackles from Elliot Eisler. He was all over the field. They're returning Matt Milano, albeit in a supporting role.
Well, time out. I know you're getting to a point, and I want to just bookmark another point. Edmonds jokingly having 209 tackles. We saw the Tremaine Edmonds we've been missing all season. Well, we've been missing Matt Milano, right? So let's get to that at a later time. Okay, let's just bookmark that topic because I know you got a quarterback topic to make right now about the Bills.
51 minutes left. We can get to those guys. I got a feeling we're gonna get there.
All right, good.
But no, it just begs the question. The thing that I'm worried about as far as the Bills go, if you're tuning into Hashtag Sports, you know that we try to take a little bit overcautious approach here. We don't want to try to get too overly excited. Even though this was a great win, the Buffalo Bills are 9-3. Josh Allen, if he throws for one more 300-yard game, he ties Drew Bledsoe for most 300-yard games by a Buffalo Bills quarterback in a season. He was the only Bills quarterback to throw 80% completion and 4 touchdowns, which is absolutely amazing. He's doing things at a level that I see him progressing. I see the offense becoming more comfortable. I see the offensive line even becoming more comfortable. That notwithstanding, the quarterbacks that you're going to have to face in the playoffs and the offensive play callers behind those quarterbacks are a little bit more of what I'm concerned about rather than you're going against Drew Lock. You're going to go against Jared Stidham. You're going to go against Tua. You're going to go against Ben Roethlisberger. And after they just dropped one to Washington tonight,
Right.
you know what? I would have, obviously selfishly, I wish the Buffalo Bills were that team that gave them their first loss. But, you know, it is what it is. They may be even more relaxed next week when Buffalo plays them. But the primetime Bills are here, and that's the only my only reservation I'm having. Okay, you're not going to play Nick Mullins in the playoffs. That's all I'm going to say. And then this guy threw 316 yards on you today. A lot of it in garbage time. I understand, but I mean, what's your thought on that, Paul? I mean, do you think that this is a good litmus test for this defense going into the playoffs against playoff caliber quarterbacks?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you look at the teams that are likely to make the playoffs, right? It's you're looking at Mahomes for the AFC, right? You're looking at Mahomes, Roethlisberger, Tannehill, and Buffalo. And then it's whoever is starting for Miami, we're thinking right now, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of like what we're looking at. I take this offense against any one of those defenses, right? And I put this defense against any one of those offenses. Listen, the Tremaine Edmonds we saw tonight was a very different monster because, and MP brought it up, he's like, still not great in coverage. Yeah, he doesn't have to be great in coverage. He just didn't have to be in a million places anymore.
Yeah.
And I feel like the last few games, he was stuck in the mud because he was afraid to overcommit because there was no help on the backside, right? There was just no help. And a healthy Milano, we're not talking about Matt Milano that limped through 3 games before they put him on IR. We're talking a healthy looking Matt Milano tonight. What a difference and what an impact, right? It did still bring me to AJ Klein still not they took him out of that pass rush role a little bit and let him play some coverage and let him help in run support. And I saw the back of his jersey just a little bit too much for my liking, right? But I get it, right? This is a team that typically likes to run the football. You're going to go 3 linebackers a lot, right? Because it's the best alignment that you can run is to go with a true 3 linebacker set. And you know, this wasn't Klein's best game coming off his last 2. But this was by far Edmonds' best game in weeks. And it freed up the secondary. You know, I was real happy with the play. I mean, how could you not be happy with the play of Tre'Davious White today?
You can't,
right?
It was amazing.
And I didn't see Hyde and Poyer as much as I thought I would against a team that runs so much because the Bills were running a 3 linebacker set. You know, so they were able to clean up some mess and they were able to put pressure on Mullins while only bringing 4 guys. They didn't get to him, but that's not a Sean McDermott / Leslie Frazier defense. That's not, they're going to just bring 4. They just want the quarterback to be pressured to make a decision. It's not about the sacks. And I know that's the sexy stat to go to all the time, but it's just about the pressure. It's not about the sacks.
And Matthias coming in, first double up for the Punt Foundation. Keep them wins
Hey,
coming.
yes,
Go
sir.
Bills. Thank you, Matthias. The Punt Foundation thanks you as well. And if you guys are just joining us, like we said at the onset of the episode, we're going to be donating all super chats, all hashtag channel memberships to the Punt Foundation up until the end of the season. And in January, we're going to give a nice big check over to the Punt Foundation in favor of the hashtag nation. So thank you guys so much for that. But you bring up a great point, Paul. You put Milano next to Edmonds. It's like he doesn't have to worry about certain things. It's almost like, and I'll tell something that's relatable, when you have 2 parents watching the kids instead of just 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it's like when you have 3 kids and you have to go from playing man-to-man to zone inside the house. You're just like, these are my rooms. Those are your rooms. Wherever they drift, that's my responsibility. So when you go from 3 kids, you know, from 2 kids to 3 kids, you do go from man-to-man to zone.
You definitely,
like, it's just, it's what happens.
You definitely, yes, absolutely. And it is something, you know, there was a little bit more of a comfort level. He was a little bit more relaxed today. Edmonds, I'm talking about Edmonds now. You got a guy that's coming in that was just the AFC Defensive Player of the Week. You got Matt Milano coming back, who you're going to have a team that's going to throw on you and try to run. They couldn't run. San Francisco couldn't run. You talking about Wilson and Mozart combining for 89 yards total rushing. I mean,
which is not normal for them.
No, it's not.
Like
they love running. Tevin Coleman, 2 carries for negative 11 yards. Tevin Coleman. Okay. Your favorite.
I do love Tevin Coleman. Well, Jeff Wilson, long of 18, averaged 6.7. Raheem Mozart averaged 4.7 yards per carry. So it's not like they weren't effective. And Mozart's a fun back, isn't he?
Is fun.
Like, he's a fun back to watch.
He is.
But the Bills at some point in the game were willing to concede a little bit of that run. But I mean, the fact of the matter is Mozart and Jeff Wilson combined for 16 carries. That is not the San Francisco
That's
offense.
not the San Francisco way. And Buffalo Mafia News says, does Allen win the AFC Player of the Week? I think that's already been handed out to Tyreek Hill, unfortunately. I think they're just the flashy team. They're the flashy. He's going to get it. Yeah. I just think he's going to get it. I think that goes to Hill. Mm-hmm. You have a lot of guys on that too. Corey Davis had a heck of a week, but not as good as Allen's. But you talk about what they had to do. Buffalo Bills now going 9-3 overall, and that's my lucky hat. It is my lucky hat. It's my Bills hat. It's to cover the earbuds, guys. That's basically what I use this. Plus, I don't pay my heat bill. That being said, no, you start talking about. You're right. That is not a Kyle Shanahan offense. He wants to run the ball. He wants to grind it out. When they did run the ball, they did run they did run really well, but they just got down way too early. That 17-point, I think it was a 17-point second quarter by the Buffalo Bills. It was just too tough to overcome. You go in the locker room 17-7. You could still run the ball, but the Bills end up coming back and just totally dominating the game and just the flow of the game, even though they had those 6 or 7 yards of carry. Right. It wasn't, you didn't notice it because you weren't really capitalizing on those runs. Right. Oh my God, Paul Berg and Pierre Martinez. Paul Berg coming in and says, why is Taron Johnson in there? It scrolled up. Hold on.
He's a major issue.
Got beat by a tight end, a fullback, and a beer guy in there.
I think in the box, Conehead might take him.
Oh my God, no, stop it.
No, I'm kidding. Well, I know Paul has been a big proponent of Teron Johnson is not good in coverage. And I kind of agree. We've been talking about it for weeks. Is Dane Jackson a better fit in coverage sets there? Dane Jackson not active today, right? Because he's not on the 53-man roster. You can't call him back up again until somebody tests positive for COVID, unless you sign him to the 53-man roster. I'm just bringing it up, right?
How many snaps did Norman have today?
I don't even know.
I don't even know. Here's my point. It's so great. I love that the fact, I'm going to get to this later, but the fact that the Buffalo Bills are playing the Steelers next week, and you got Josh Norman on one side and Joe Hayden on the other. Mm-hmm. I mean, how many times were those guys touted as the two best corners in the league, and now they're just Hayden's still pretty good, but is Johnson playing at a level that's not commensurate with the defense right now, or do you just like Dane Jackson that much you want him in that role?
I don't know if Dane Jackson could even play the role.
You don't think he can play the slot?
I said I don't know if he can. He didn't play there at Pitt, so I mean,
true.
I got to think that if the Bills thought he could do it, he'd be doing it already. That's kind of, let me just drink the Kool-Aid real quick and believe in the process and say that I think if he could do it, they would be doing it already. If Teron Johnson goes out, who's your slot corner? Who takes that job?
Sierra Neal.
Exactly. That's what I mean. I don't think it's Dane Jackson.
Yeah. That's as much as I would like for him. I mean, it just speaks to the amount of depth that they have back there, which is a good thing to have at this point.
Right.
But we can't be remiss to mention about Pierre Martinez. He said, is Daryl Johnson the reason for Murphy being inactive? I don't know. I think that's more Epineza. I think that's more Epineza being in there. But I mean, I agree. A lot of people celebrating the win. Big effing dubs. Defense looking better. Steve Lynn, tickle farts. I think that was your first comment. I haven't seen that one before. Thank you. Rolando says yes, Dane. Yeah, bring Dane up. A lot of guys celebrating this one. Norman's useless from Buffalo Mafia. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Norman, but would I rather have Dane Jackson there from a developmental standpoint? Yeah, I think Norman already served his purpose when Tre'Davious White extended his deal. That's awful. I apologize.
Yeah.
Apex says Wallace is a bigger issue than Johnson. That's an interesting talking point. I know that Wallace, he can get beat up sometimes in games because you know what, you got Trey White, a first round pick, all pro, runner up defense. Was he runner up for defensive player of the year? I don't know if he was runner up or not, but
I think so.
And then you have an undrafted corner from Alabama, basically came over here with Robert Foster because Daboll knew him.
Right.
And who are you going to throw at? I mean, it's a no-brainer. So he's going to get tested more than Trey White, obviously. So he's gonna feel the brunt of that every once in a while, which is fine. I'm fine with that. I mean, I like the way he runs vertically with a lot of these speed guys that certain guys can't run with, and I understand that. So I mean, I'm willing to take a few lefts and rights on the chin for Wallace. I don't know about so much for Teron Johnson anymore. I don't know.
Levi Wallace weighs as much as I do, so it's against. I think it depends, right? Brandon Ayuk was impressive as hell tonight.
He's
right?
impressive anyway.
He was a great find for them. And to be perfectly honest with you, I was really expecting more from Deebo Samuel, who just is a flashy player, but I don't know what that ceiling looks like.
Well, he hasn't had a lot of consistency. I think he's the NFC versions of Corey Davis.
Yeah, I don't you dare besmirch the good name of Corey Davis for a possession receiver. Deebo Samuel's not a possession receiver. We could go at this all night. That's not the point. The point is that I don't think Ayuk is as physical as somebody like Claypool, who Wallace would have to go against next week. And that scares the hell out of me, is Levi Wallace going against the physical receivers for the Steelers. That's a problem, right? That's where my problem sits. If I'm Brandon Beane, I'm not playing Levi Wallace against those hogs. I'm playing Norman, because while they're fast and Norman could get torched, the fact is that Norman should be able to slow him down enough. Levi Wallace is just going to be a doormat.
Well, you know who else could slow him up?
Dane Jackson.
But my point is this. What does that say if you don't play Wallace against them horses, and then we come into crunch time in the playoffs? What do you think that's going to do to the kid's confidence? But I other than that, I wanted to say Jay Bowling brings up a great point. He says, "Nah, Mario, Worley is better than all of them. Play him at CB. He says play him at CB1 or CB2. Are you talking about? Would you play him in the slot or just straight CB2 over Wallace? Because that's an interesting topic.
Well, we saw Worley play when Dane Jackson went out. I remember that one game where they had to start Dane Jackson at CB2, and Dane Jackson goes out for a bit, and we saw Worley come in.
We did.
So, I mean, I give the kid credit. He was on the team for like all of 10 minutes before he had to suit up and play, right?
Yeah.
So I give him credit, but I wouldn't be on to Worley just yet. Although Worley was part of those cornerbacks that were drafted while McDermott was trying to remake the secondary after Norman left, right?
And we can't be remiss about that. Even though Bowling, he just says, "No, I'm playing. He's bad." I'm just saying though that Carolina connection always runs deep. It always gets the benefit of the doubt with a lot of things, and I understand that. And that's what happens. Thanks, Bowling. You can't do that to us, man. It's almost midnight. You know, we're gonna take every question and comment seriously and try to answer you guys. That's what we do here. DLC goes, never heard of Worley. This guy here is dead.
Cross him off then.
I love
hey, Bradley Bennett. I'll subscribe. You guys are pretty good and knowledgeable. Yeah, Bradley, we're just here to have fun, man. Thank you for dropping in and joining the nation. Yeah, thanks for joining the nation.
Join the nation, man. We have a lot of fun here. It's a very personable group that we got here. I don't know about I don't know about the 209 viewers and 61 likes. I don't know about you guys. Do we owe you money, guys? Do we oe you guys money? Like what?
The nation will do God's work in the chat, telling people to hit the like button.
I know that God's work. But nevertheless, the Buffalo Bills, and Paul, we've been covering this team, and I say that like tongue in cheek. We used to have conversations on the phone about this team, and then said, let's put this to a podcast because we think that people would find this interesting. And due to the 3,000 subs that we have on YouTube, people do find us a bit interesting with our analysis and our breakdown and what like that. But since we've been talking about this team since 2013, we've been doing this for a while. 2013, we're in no man's land because we're used to talking about a team after their 12th game saying draft position, who could they get, who's another guy, who's improving, who might not be here next year. We're just like the nation and just like the mafia. We're in uncharted territory talking about a team that is this successful, this crisp, this powerful in the NFL. Like, national media still doesn't really want to buy into the Buffalo Bills, and I understand that. But I think they have to start thinking of the Buffalo Bills as not that 17-year stretch team anymore. Because, I mean, they said during the broadcast, McKenzie's the only receiver that was here Allen's first year. You want to talk about trying to revamp this offense and do what you need to do with this offense. Elliot, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. That's a wonderful compliment, Elliot. It's just that I'm in uncharted territory here with this team. And while we're always waiting for the other foot to drop, and I think that's where a lot of our analysis comes from, where we try to take it back and say, okay, what could they still improve on? And I want to throw that to the chat. That's the biggest thing. I want to throw this to the chat. What do you, as happy as you are and as excited as you are being a fan of the Buffalo Bills, the 9-3 Buffalo, the 9-3 Buffalo Bills, what is something you see that this team can improve? Not just one individual player, because everyone said, oh, Teron Johnson, oh, the guards need to fix it up. What's going on with Feliciano? That stuff we all know is going to come out in the wash everyone. Right. But what is one thing that you could say, I wish they were better at blank? Because for me, I just think that there are still times in the game where there's a little bit of a stretch or a lull, both offensively and defensively for the team. Now you look at a team that has won the Super Bowl in Kansas City. I never really see too many lulls in their game. I really don't. They may not score for a while, but it's not for a lack of execution or something like that. The ball just doesn't bounce their way. They 3rd and 9, they get 8 yards, certain stuff like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about there seems to be a lull a little bit. And I'm interested to see, Caden comes in with turnovers, getting pressure with 4, ultimate turnovers. Daniel says the tight end position, more consistency in the run game by John Doe. Turnovers for the defense. Okay, wish they were better run D-line. Chewy Baca. That is the greatest name. Sorry.
Isn't it?
Oh
I know.
God.
He just found us on YouTube too. He commented earlier. I love that one. I love that one.
Better at running and tight end. She was gold. The run, which keep our defense a little bit more fresh. That's a great point. What? But this team, I think in these 12 games, this defense has adjusted to a pass first offense because they realize, hey, we got to go out there. Either something happens where we're not running the ball, we're going to 3 and out, 4 and out. They don't have many 3 and outs, but what I'm saying is they have 5 and out. Let's say they have a 5 and out or whatever. And then they go in there. But then they may have times where they take 6 plays and score. The defense got to go back out there. So I think the defense is better at adjusting to the type of offense they have because this wasn't the offense last year. You remember that. No. At a top 5 defense with the offense that the Bills were last year versus what the offense is this year, the defense has to adjust.
Well, so just to mention that real quick, do you know how nice it is to watch a game and just know for a fact that Allen isn't going to do design deep routes where they have to take their shot to take the top off the defense? Can I just tell you how happy I'm not to have to listen to that nonsense from the broadcast partners talking about Allen's arm and how they have to take the top off the defense? You take the shot when the shot's there to take, right? You read the defense, you take the shot when the coverage tells you to. It's not you're just drawing this play up to make it happen. Oh God, it feels so good to just, when a deep play happens, it's because it was there, not because you were trying to force it into being, Oh God, I'm so happy. DLC said closing out games. I am so glad that he said that because this was the first game where in the 4th quarter, I'm not, down to stubs on my fingers from having chewed the nails off my hand from the previous 3 quarters. It was so nice to watch a game where I just didn't feel out of control at any point. Outside, once we hit the 2nd quarter, I was like, all right, let's see what happens. Get to the 3rd quarter. We leave the 3rd quarter scoring as many points as the other team. Hey, all right, that. We're moving on. We're moving forward.
At that.
Hold on. I'm gonna give a little Sean McDermott. You ready?
You would.
That's it. Giving him the clap.
Can I give a little Brian Dable? I have my almonds here somewhere.
Somebody on Twitter made a comment about how the mask is really just like a snack feed bag.
I believe it.
I know.
Okay, so we got a question from Donald Levert. He says, "Do you think we should start Knox or Croft?" We'll definitely get to that one. But Ryan Montang comes in. Thank you for the donation. He says, "Remember when Mario predicted a 9-7 season?" I'm never. You know what? They're gonna put that on my tombstone. Where you have us now? What a great game, minus the Moss fumble. Yes, what a great game. It was a phenomenal game. I think, Paul, we did an episode probably 2-3 weeks ago where I jumped off of the 9-7 bandwagon officially. You guys can check that out on our channel if you want. After you hit the subscribe button, you can go check out some of the episodes. But I jumped off of it when you said the Bills could win out. And this was before Arizona?
Yeah, before they lost in Arizona.
Yeah. You said they could win out. And I understand that. That's fine. You said they can go. You can see them going 14-2. And I think I went 12-4. I think I went 12-4. I think I shifted it to 12-4 at that point, because I just thought that they were going to lose one either to San Francisco or Arizona, and then they were going to lose the last game of the year because they didn't need it. But the Dolphins just keep winning. Like, okay. Naveed has 10-5-1.
Oh yeah, don't worry. I just put exclamation points in the chat. I was like, "Who are you tying to? Who are you tying to?"
It was so interesting though to see Allen's vision. I think it was severely underrated today in what he was able to see, how quickly he was able to see it, and the arm strength that goes with that kind of a vision is something that I haven't seen since Rodgers. I mean, Allen hit wide open guys for touchdowns today. And it wasn't the first read. It was beautiful to watch. It was absolutely McKenzie wide open, Gabe Davis wide open. You know what I mean?
That was a beautiful drawn up play on McKenzie. I gotta be honest with you. Yep. They did a great job of getting him immediate separation. Like it was a great look. It was a great look. I haven't seen them run that formation. I haven't seen McKenzie in that formation all year. Boy, what a great look that was. Oh, yeah. Great job. I do want to point out that who just said it? I gotta call somebody out. Anthony, Gio. I'm Polish. I can't pronounce these names. I'm sorry, guys. Anthony says, do you think Zach Moss is going to be inactivated next week against the Steelers? Fumbling issues. We know that is a bugaboo for McDermott.
That's more of a valid point. But he did come back to the game.
He did, and then got stopped for -2 yards on a 3rd and 1.
Yes.
So not the best game for Zach Moss, right? My response to that is a Zach Moss inactivation would require a TJ Yeldon activation, which only ever happens in like a lunar eclipse or something. So, no.
Do you want me to speak poorly about Dane Jackson? Because I could.
I know your love for TJ Yeldon.
I love TJ Yeldon. I love Ryan Bates. Yeah. Neither one of them see the field. It's fine. We saw Snapflow 69 for those of you that are on Twitter. That is
with
Reed
that
Ferguson,
tackle.
With a tackle
yes,
on the
sir.
side. It was amazing. You said the TJ activity. Josh Allen and Cole Beasley developing a heck of a chemistry. But what I wanted to do with those touchdowns with McKenzie and Davis, you saw. All right, if the 49ers they left open who they were going to leave open. I mean, hey, if you could beat us with these guys, you're going to beat us with these guys. The problem was Bill's dead.
Right.
But I don't expect 2 touchdowns to come that easily of guys getting left wide open on certain things. Right. Now, would you attribute that to the breakdown of the defense? Initial thoughts, because we haven't watched the film yet. Is that breakdown of defense or play design?
That's play design. You just have to assume eye test against a defense like that. That's a very good defense. That's a very well coached defense.
We're talking Stefan.
Whoa,
Stefan. Finish your point. I'm going to freeze this comment.
Okay.
Go ahead. Finish your point.
We're talking that defensive coordinator's one of the leading candidates for a head coach job next offseason, right? So this is a very, very, very well coached defense. So if we're playing, a different team, if we're playing the Jets, I'd be like, it's the Jets. They suck. If we're playing a team with even an average defense, I would say, probably defense blue coverage. I don't think so. That defense is too well coached. So it had to be a look.
You talked about TJ Yeldon. It had to be a lunar eclipse. Paul just gave props to Brian Dable's play call design.
Whoa, okay.
I just want to point it out before I get to this point that Stefan makes. Stefan says when we're done talking about the 9-7. It keeps coming up. Can we talk about Mario wanting to trade away Beasley this offseason? I'm going to sit back because I know that this was not my point that I brought up. It was Paul's. So I will
okay. All right. I'm going to take smoke on this one, and I'm perfectly ready for it. So I did bring up trading Cole Beasley. I know. Just go with me on this journey. And it was solely because he was like the only contract that you could trade. There were like 2 players on the Bills who had contracts you could actually trade.
Yes.
And Cole Beasley was just one of them, right? Like you're looking at the talent to money ratio and you're like, okay, Cole Beasley's the guy that you just brought in Diggs. If you're going to move, I guess you can move Beasley. It was just a money thing. That's it. That's all. It was just
I mean, if you guys, and for those of you that have been here for the long haul, you know that we talk about a lot of possibilities and hypotheticals with the numbers and the cap and certain things that may happen in the offseason, because ultimately the NFL is a business, and each franchise organization, the CEO of that business, which is the GM, is going to make the best decisions for his team possible for what's going to happen, what kind of product they produce. So we talk about that all the time, and it's fine. And I love that you guys remember some of that stuff because Paul doesn't. I usually have to remind him of that.
Dory the fish, guys. Dory the fish.
But it's one of those things that it drives discussion. It drives a good discussion because you're sitting there, you're talking about contracts. Now, purely speaking, with the whole Trent Murphy situation, we talked about that from a contract standpoint in the offseason. I'll just give an example. We talked about at the beginning of the season possibly getting rid of Murphy because you had to clear cap for the contracts that were coming up. The Trey White, Deion Dawkins, Matt Milano's. And then the following season when you have Allen and Edmonds, and then the following year when you have Oliver. You always got to clear cap for that kind of stuff. And with the cap staying where it is, we're going to have some interesting discussions, but that's for the offseason. I just wanted to kind of bring that up for some of the new members and some of the new people that are in here.
I see a lot of people calling for Christian Wade. Real quickly, Christian Wade cannot be called up this season.
No.
Right. So you can't call him up. There's nothing you can do. You locked him out from being able to call up by allowing the international exemption again. So Christian Wade can't help you this season. Next season, different story, but he's going to be like 30, I think.
I love how Anthony's roasting you in the chat.
I know.
Paul's explaining this sounds like an awful lot like Belichick. I misinterpreted the rules. Yes. Old man Jenkins is here.
I heard some names we haven't seen in a while. Did I see Epinesa make a play today?
He did.
The Bills.
He was in coverage. Yeah.
Well, I thought it was fascinating to watch because if you pay attention to the typical defensive substitutions, right? Once you hit the 40 to the 40, right? It's you had Daryl Johnson on one side, you had AJ Epinesa on the other side. Like not exactly the combo you would think. Right? Mm-hmm. You just wouldn't imagine a time where you're putting Daryl Johnson and AJ Epinesa on the field at the same time. But between the 40s today, that's what the Bills did. Yes. Right? And again, the Bills were generating enough pressure to be effective. It's not going to fill the stat sheet, but if you could bring pressure with 4 and you could just keep it constant, your linebackers clean up. That's what Tampa 2 is all about. And the Bills run a Tampa 2 concept. That's what Tampa 2 is your linebackers are there to clean up the mess that your front 4 can't. And today was a beautiful example of that. The Bills will win football games when the other team only attempts 20 rushing attempts.
Absolutely.
Like those are games the Bills are going to win.
That's
right?
What they're
right. Those are games the Bills are going to win.
Did we see today? You talk about today. You talk about Seattle. Did we see the blueprint that the Buffalo Bills are going to try to do and try to execute for the rest of the season and in the playoffs to become crisper at it, to try to beat teams, mix in the run a little bit when you have to, those short timing routes, utilization of Beasley in the slot until Brown comes back, and certain things like that. Because even with Brown, we said that when Brown's not in the lineup, it's a very, very, very different offense, and it was today. I mean, you saw the utilization of Dawson Knox on clearing routes. You saw the utilization. You saw. I saw one play where Beasley ran a clearing route down the seam. That's where Diggs ran that little curl route behind the zone, and you had Knox going to the flat. Knox, I said, as soon as the ball was snapped, Knox was wide open. I go, throw it. I started yelling at my television. I go, throw it. He waited for the play to develop. The patience of Allen waiting for – he knew Diggs was going to find that open spot where Allen knew it was going to go. And
Yep.
instead of having a 4-yard pass on the outside to Dawson Knox or whatever it would have been, you had a 9-yard completion to Diggs. And that play to me really, really solidified this kid gets it. This kid's starting to process the game. It's slowing down for him, and he's allowed to use his athleticism a little bit more. I didn't see him scrambling out of there to run or nervously scrambling around, not knowing what to do. He scrambled out, threw the ball away. 32 for 40. Had like 3 passes he threw away.
Right.
What?
Yep.
What?
Yep.
The utilization throwing to the backs too. Wait, I just want to get this stat real quick. If I can get it. Let me go back and get this statistic really quick for everybody. So you had Singletary with 3 catches, Moss with 1, McKenzie with 2. Obviously, the one was the touchdown. So you take the 1 to McKenzie, the screen to Diggs, 3. So then that's.
You're running out of fingers here, Mark.
I am. That's 6 plays, because we talked about this now with the defensive front that the 49ers ran, and even though they have guys out, they still have a very stout front 4. You got to get the ball out of your hands quick. You got to try to give Allen some easy completions, and there was 6 easy completions right there. You throw 4 to your backs, and you got 2 that are just those little dump off plays that you want to do. But those are the things that I liked about it, was the fact that you're going to get him in a rhythm doing that, and you're going to get the ball out of his hands quick and tire out that defense. Everyone was talking about the Buffalo. That's what San Francisco loves to do. They love to run the ball, and they hit you with body blows all day with running the ball. Not when you do it 20 times in the entire game. You're not going to do that.
Right. Yeah, it's if the Diggs play is the one that I'm thinking of, we actually posted a video of it on Twitter immediately after it happened. And we are critical of Josh Allen finding the windows, right? We've talked about this all season, where Allen sometimes is late to the window.
Yes.
Right. But this offense requires so many route adjustments by the receivers based on coverage that it's really about communication. So the window being late, Allen a lot of times is waiting for the receiver to commit.
Yes.
Right. That Allen makes a check prior to that out throw to Diggs. He makes a check. It checks out of the play that they were in. So Diggs just basically lets the corner set the distance, right, and just finds the soft spot underneath. It was beautifully done, right? But it's an example of communication, right? That's what that offense did, was they said, okay, whatever play we're in, let's just check out. Let's move to something different. And it was great communication. But that was Allen trusting that Diggs was going to be open. Like, it was just no doubt. It was no doubt. He's like, I know Diggs will be open on this. Like, it wasn't even questioned. It was, I know Diggs will be open on this.
I am throwing this ball now. He's not even out of his route.
Yeah,
I know where he's going.
Right.
Paul Berg, I was just going to answer that. Dave Walker comes in. I could do less with Lee Smith. But when you say about the pressure that the 49ers are going to bring, you had to almost have, this is why you have Lee Smith. If we could figure out and break down why Lee Smith is on this team at the tight end position. If you come in and you have 11 personnel and Lee Smith is one of your tight ends, you still have to account for an eligible receiver that's out there when he's just an extra tackle really out there. So it's one of those things where, okay, he's your new fullback. That's what he is. That's what he is.
I think, and the Bills are trying to put Knox in that role.
Yes.
But I got to be honest with you. Today was probably the most productive day for Dawson Knox in recent weeks, right? But I mean, I still think there's more there for him, right? But that's Dable offenses don't typically involve tight ends. Like, this is a reoccurring theme, right? The Dable offenses just primarily don't use tight ends all that much.
Knox caught 4 passes today.
Yeah.
He didn't fight one of them.
Nope.
He didn't fight one of those passes. I'm
glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that, because you're right. He didn't. The touchdown pass, that's when they slow-moed it. I was like, all right, let's see. Let me see if my eyes were playing tricks on me. It looked like he caught that one on purpose. I was like, okay, he did. All right.
Oh my God. That is glorious.
Well, it is what it is.
On so many levels.
But today was the story of the Bills are going to run. Going back to some of the comments we had earlier, the Bills running game still concerns me a little bit, especially going against like the Steelers defense that we're going to see, right? If you're going to tell the Steelers, we're throwing the ball 35 times today, They will not care about the run. They will let you run. They will not care. Their linebackers will clean you up 6 yards down the field, and that's going to be what they do, right? Because they will take care of the pass. Do the Bills have the ability to really run the football 28, 29 times in a game? Because if they can, they will catch the Steelers off guard. They will be able to run effectively on the ground against the Steelers if the Steelers really believe that the Bills are 35 pass attempt team every game.
Just because it's fresh and it makes me laugh and it's fun, okay? The Washington football team, which had defeated the Steelers tonight in the previous game before the Bills, Alex Smith threw 46 times. Mm-hmm. Now you're talking about a defense and a defensive front that has TJ Watt, yes, but does not have Bud Dupree on the other side.
Right.
Very important. Paul Berg brought that up in the chat too.
Very true.
But you're talking about a team that ran 21 times in Washington. Okay.
Yep.
That's on par. Throwing 46 and running 21, we could see the Bills doing that, right?
Absolutely.
However, Logan Thomas had 9 catches.
Right. Yep.
Tight
Logan
end.
Thomas. Yep. Logan Thomas does in Washington line up.
Yeah.
Wide.
Also,
right? He lines up offset.
McKissick had 10 receptions. Mm-hmm. So
Gibson went out. Yeah. Gibson went out.
No, my point is that you have 19 of those 31 receptions going to a tight end and a back. That does not sound like the Buffalo Bills.
Who's the quarterback, Mark? It's Alex Smith. He's been living off running backs and tight ends the last 12 years of his career. This is what he does.
I'm just saying, Paul. Just saying. You're talking about a team that defeated the Steelers, throwing 46, running 21, but who they threw to is vastly different to who the Bills will throw to. Right. I mean, I'm just putting it out there for anyone who wants to, do a deep dive and how the Bills can defeat the Steelers, because I know that's been asked a couple times. How can the Bills defeat the Steelers? Well, the Buffalo Bills defeated the Steelers last year, even though they did have Duck Hodges. They're a little bit crisper team. Chase Claypool is an animal among animals. Mm-hmm. They're going to have, but I don't think that the Steelers have the amount of weapons that the Bills haven't seen yet this year. Mm-hmm. And that's the case. You know what I mean? How do you compare the Steelers' weapons to the Kansas City weapons, to the LA Charger weapons, to the LA Ram weapons, to what we saw tonight with the 49er weapons in the secondary? The Bills seem to always kind of figure it out. And, it's going to be interesting to watch. I don't foresee that game. I foresee that game coming down to the final drive. I really do. That's going to be, it was 17-10 last year was the final. I could see that happening. I could see it happening again. No question.
Jeremy Freeman says, are we not going to talk about the Beasley TD celebration? Listen, when John Feliciano wants to hold you like a baby, you let John Feliciano hold you like a baby. That is just a fact. You do not question that man. If he says, I'm about to carry you like a baby, you say, yes, you are. And that is it. End of conversation.
4 tough D's left this year. Yes, D-Way. But who's John Feliciano is when they say the story about the 400-pound gorilla. What's a 400-pound gorilla eat? Whatever he wants.
Yeah, that's
where does he go?
Feliciano.
Wherever he wants.
Yeah, that's John Feliciano.
Mongo wants to pick you up. You're getting picked up. I don't care.
Yeah.
But yeah, D-Wagon brings up a great point. 4 tough defenses left this year. You got the Patriots, you got the Dolphins, you got the Steelers, and you got the Broncos. So records aside, still pretty tough defenses that the Buffalo Bills have to play.
Going back to your point on Pittsburgh, I'm going to be honest with you. That wide receiver group it's like a marriage between the Chargers and the Chargers and the Chiefs, right?
It is, because
they are fast receivers and they are very physical, right? They're a very physical group. So it's a little bit of column A, it's a little bit of column B. They're a tough football team. And I got to be honest with you, Ben still finds a way to buy himself time in the pocket. I don't know how, but he just does a great job. Like that old uncle who's all-time QB at the family barbecue. He just seems to be able to waddle his way through pressure. I don't know how. Can't move. Doesn't throw the ball very far anymore, right?
No, he has become the Chad Pennington of football right now.
Oh my, jeez, he could eat Chad Pennington.
He's accurate, but the ball takes a while to get there. I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there on a platter. For
Right,
y'all.
right. But how do you beat that? You get receivers with length, right?
Exactly.
Like that's how you beat that.
Yes, you do.
You have a quarterback whose arm is not on the best side of his career, and you need receivers with length who can moss that ball.
Jeremy Freeman brings up a great point. Washington D line is awesome. I remember when they drafted Sweat. And I'm like, wait.
That's scary.
You're putting Sweat
and Chase Young
and Deron Payne together.
Yep, that's scary.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Well, not to defend Washington, but they've kind of had their pick of the litter of just about any player in college football for about 2 decades. So
since the RG3 trade, you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Oh, Daniel Gallery says Felicio was back on the field in the second half. I didn't see him. I thought I saw Winters and Botker in there many times. Did you guys expect Allen to do a Houston meltdown after that fumble? I think he's matured so much this year, coming from last year to this year. I think we talked about it last year, and if you guys were with us, and when we used to do our post games last year, we're like, how is he going to take this game as a learning experience and move forward? How is he going to take this game? How's he going to do X, Y, and Z different later? Is he going to stop doing more hero ball stuff? Is he going to know when to get the ball out? Is he going to try to progress to his second and third reads all the time? And we've talked about that quite a bit. I think you've seen that progression in Josh Allen move along this season where, okay, he's getting the ball out on time a little bit more. You're not really starting to hear, after an 80% night, I don't think a lot of people are going to be talking about his accuracy issues. Now, a couple balls got away from him. Hey, a couple balls get away from Drew Brees every once in a while. And I'm not comparing Allen to Brees, but what I'm saying is those plays happen in a game. You can't just say, oh, he's inaccurate. Here we go. James,
I don't know what conversation Elliot's having in the chat, but
Ooh.
his response is pretty funny.
I don't know.
I don't know what that's about, but
there was
still
no
funny.
Houston meltdown. He still took us to a field goal range thrice. Okay. Well, I was just responding to the question. I mean, it seemed like there was a lull then in the Houston game after going up 16 points, and it seemed like it seemed like they were trying to hit the panic button a little too early. First team in the playoffs, very young team, very young quarterback, and that's the progression of the team.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mar. Zelgus9 says if we're only up one game on the fish, but 5-0 in the division entering week 17, it won't matter. Correct me if I'm wrong, but divisional record's not an initial tiebreaker, right? You're head-to-head inside the division. I thought it went conference, then inside the division.
Are you saying that if the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins finish with the same record, but the Bills have a better division record, they would win a division? It only goes to seeding after that.
Division. Okay, I thought I went conference and
we can check it.
I'll just off the top of my head. I'll look it up.
Yeah, we can check. It's not something that it's. I mean, it would make sense that you take care of your, because that's the way it's been in the NFL.
100%.
You take care of your division, you're in.
Yeah.
But if you're 6-0 in your division and you're 8-8 and another team is 12-4, it doesn't matter. You're not losing.
Okay. Well, here's the tiebreaker for two clubs. First off, it'd be head-to-head, which if Miami would have to win in order to have the same record as Buffalo, they'd have to beat Buffalo, so they'd be tied 1-1 there.
Yeah.
Best won-loss tied percentage in games played within the division.
Yes.
So it does go to division record. So the Bills wouldn't be 5-0 at that point.
Got that.
Would they have the same division record? Yeah, they'd have the same division record.
Why, they've only lost one so far?
No, Buffalo would and Miami would. They would.
They both would be 5-1?
Right.
Oh, okay.
Best won-loss tied percentage in common games. So that's where the upcoming games against, I think they still have to play the Chiefs. So there's some upcoming games that matter there.
Yes.
But the truth is you beat Miami and you seal the deal.
D-Wagon says head-to-head, division, conference, common opponents, and then strength of victory.
Yep, that's right.
Wow. Interesting.
That's right.
So wait, Miami's only lost one in the division?
I
thought they lost two.
I thought they just lost to us in the division.
No, they lost to the opening week. They lost to New England.
They lost to the Patriots week 1?
I want to say they did.
I'll look it up.
Yep, Miami lost to the Patriots week 1.
Okay. Hey, the nation's got us.
So the Bills
I don't have to look stuff up. I love you guys. We don't ever have to look anything up.
So the Bills have a game in hand. So basically, they could essentially rest guys if they end up having a tied record with Miami at that point. which would be fine because they'd be 5-1 in the division. Miami would be 4-2. They'd have the same record in the division, but then the division record would definitely go to the Bills, which makes that New England game even more important. Just wanted to put that out there. It makes that New England game more important.
That's true. Yeah. That's true.
I don't know. As far you have to see what's going on with your team at that point with injuries, resting guys, because we've seen teams, as we've said many times, Paul, they come out of a bye and they're all flat. They can't play. It takes them a quarter and a half to get there. And you're talking about a team that was kind of fighting to get in the playoffs. They already have that playoff mindset, and they're going up against a team that had a bye after they won the previous week. Right. Momentum's a big deal. So I don't know. For me, I'd like the Bills to keep playing every week. I know they're probably not going to catch Kansas City. You'd have to go up 2 games. You can't tie Kansas City. You got to go up 2 games on them to get that first round bye. You can beat the Steelers. You can get all the way up to the 2nd seed, which is good because you're playing a lower seeded team. But my point is this: I wouldn't want the Bills to have a bye anyway, unless they had any significant injuries that they had to worry about. Mm-hmm. So.
Spin talking about a tie. Get out of here with your ties. A tie?
Yes, we can tie.
Oh God, no. Let's not. Don't you put that evil on me.
Ricky Bobby. What is this? The Bengals and the Eagles when Donovan McNabb didn't know there was ties? You remember that game?
Oh yeah. Yeah, he ran out of bounds. He just scrambled out of bounds.
Oh my God.
I love it. I love it.
Does Pitt play Kansas City this year? I don't think they do.
I don't think so.
That'd be funny.
I don't think so.
Grade A Home Alone graphics during the game. Josh Allen potato.
The Josh Allen potato was great. Yeah, that was great when they did the graphic scene, the Home Alone graphic scene. The Josh Allen potato is on his door, on his bedroom door. I was like, that's a nice touch.
I can't. No,
that is a nice touch.
I can't with that.
I bought my son a Josh Allen potato T-shirt for Christmas last year. It's hysterical. If you guys don't know what the Josh Allen potato is, it's when they asked all the rookies to draw their new team's logo. And Josh Allen was not an art major at Wyoming. I don't know if you knew that. It is rough looking, but it's wonderful at the same time. Like it's so badly great. It's just so bad. It's so great. Is home field advantage a thing for this season? I think whenever you're talking about a game in January in Buffalo, yeah, you want that, right?
Yeah.
But that's 1997 Buffalo Bills. Yeah, you want that.
Yeah.
When we're talking about 2020 Buffalo Bills, where you're throwing 30 plus pass attempts a game, do you want that? Like, are you really there?
Yeah, with the volume that you
cold
throw.
Footballs are slippery, bro. Cold footballs are slippery footballs.
How would you know? Oh, okay, James. Yeah, I was asking about the Kansas City Pitt game. He said they don't play each other.
Yeah.
So
okay.
The Bills will ultimately lose out on that one, unless they happen to just completely drop off the face of the earth, both of those teams. They both go, 11-5 and just lose out, and the Bills win out. How electric would the Bills Stadium be for the next home game if people were there? Yeah, so fresh. Steve, I agree with you, 110%. I mean, that would be great to go to a home playoff game for Buffalo.
Yeah, good luck to the sheriff's department keeping people away from the stadium that day. Good luck.
The police blotter would look like War and Peace the next day. Like, what am I reading here?
So Davis says, was tonight the best game of the season overall? If not, what was? Do you think this was the best game?
I liked last week. Last week. I was a fan of last week.
I like this week better. Tell me why last week over this week?
I mean, Herbert's a rookie, but you started to see certain things that were going on in that game that everything went smoothly today. I mean, there were a couple of hiccups here and there. Allen got flushed out of pocket a few times. You were playing a very stout front defense, but with the amount of injuries that the 49er team had, they're 5-6. They're a lot better than 5-6. If they were at 100%, I think it would be a different. My opinion would be different. But everything seemed to work that Buffalo decided to do today. Last week, not everything worked. You had a couple hiccups, and then you were able to come back from that,
right,
and close it and just ultimately win the game. So that's why I liked last week a little bit better than this week. But as far as a overall, just dominant performance, you got to put this game up there with the Seattle game. Yeah. I think it's no question. But if you look at the first couple games of the year where the Buffalo Bills, they would go out to a lead, then they would lose the lead, and then they have to come back. That's also earmarked that once you do that, you know you're good enough to do it. Mm-hmm. So the Bills still have that, I think, in their back pocket where, hey, if we get out to a big lead and guys come back, we could still come back on this because we have the offensive firepower to do so. And that's putting a lot of teams on notice. It's putting a lot of teams on notice, this Buffalo Bills team, and they're going to try to rework their offensive schemes to keep Allen and company off the field. Get ready for that, Buffalo. Pittsburgh, Denver, Miami, and New England are going to try to keep the ball as long as possible and give the Buffalo Bills not as many drives as they have had. So it's going to be very interesting to see the next 4 games and how.
Well, I think that's a real interesting point to make. So before we get to the end of the stream, I want to bring up, I think, the most poignant point about this being the best game we've seen all season from the Bills. First off, I do think it was the most complete game. I don't think there's any way that we can argue that it was the most complete game that we've seen. Thank you very much for returning Matt Milano. But I want to go over the Bills' drives, and I'm just going to read them off real quick. Ready? We know that the first one ended at the goal line, right? Yes. So you lost in downs there, right? So the Bills' drives in order: 74 yards. They fumbled on the first play, so no yards. So the second possession, they fumbled right away. So their drives went 74 yards, no yards, 77 yards, 69 yards, 71 yards, 75 yards. The field goal was -4 yards. So again, 2 little blips on the radar.
Yep.
75 yards, and the last possession was 19 yards, and then they had the 1 to end the game. Yep. So if you look at it, right, if you just eliminate those 2 drives where you had the fumble on one, and then you had another one where you took -4 yards on a field goal, the Bills just cruised down the football field, right? Basically at will. This was without a doubt the most complete game the Bills have played all season. No like it's and offensively against that defense, it was impressive. You can't beat it. And T-Dob says Arizona let that Hail Mary go to their heads. We couldn't even make it 1 second into the broadcast before they brought up, and Buffalo lost on the Hail Mary. Arizona's 1-5 in the last 6. That one catch got them their one victory in like the last 6 games. Like, can we just move on for the love of God? Like, geez. DeAndre Hopkins is not human. We know. The Bills don't know how to defend a Hail Mary. Well, let's not put us in a situation where we have to defend a Hail Mary and things will be fine. Right? Like, isn't that where we're going with this, Mar? Yeah. Like, let's just make sure a Hail Mary's just off the table. Whatever we got to do to make sure the Hail Mary's off the table. Let's just get it off the table.
Gabe Davis.
That's it. Put him back there. Give him the Matumbo.
No.
Not in my house.
I want to thank Anthony, and I want to thank Davis as well, giving us a couple shout outs, saying thank you for the coverage and what we do. So the thanks goes to the nation. You guys are the driving force behind what Paul and I do. So I want to thank you guys for that. Definitely. And also mention one more time as we approach that hour, Paul, the Punt Foundation, our charity that we're donating to, 100% of all channel memberships will go to the Punt Foundation, as well as everything in the super chat tonight. Thank you so much for donating. The Punt Foundation thanks you. You can find us on iTunes and Spotify as well. And we're going to be having some new episodes coming out this week. Kumaro's the monster 6'4" safety on the Hail Mary. Put Kumaro back there. He saw some time today. And Gary said the Bills punted 1 time today, and it was a 68-yard bomb.
Yep. But the best punter on your team is the punter you don't need, right? That's the best player on your team. When that punter just shows up, he's still wearing the same helmet from the start of the season. They maybe washed his jersey a couple times, right? No punter is a good punter.
No punter
is a good day.
I always thought the most popular guy in town was the backup quarterback, but apparently I was wrong. Do you have any parting words for the nation before we head out of here, Paul?
Yes. Steelers have a lot of games and not a lot of time. That is a big advantage for Buffalo. I think you kind of saw some of that play out a little bit with Washington today. They just kind of look beat. So Buffalo's going to benefit from that. Hopefully we're going to see Buffalo benefit from that. So it's a lot of games and not a lot of days. So I am hopeful that that defense is a little bit worn out. But man, I can't wait for that Steelers game. Like I cannot wait. I can't wait. I hope you guys are back with us post game for that too. I cannot wait.
Is that a Sunday night, bad boy? Is that Sunday night?
It is when it is, Mar. I don't follow the schedule. You say, Paul, there's a Bills game. I'm like, there is? I don't know.
Yeah, really breaking news we got.
I'm kidding.
Why is Gabe Davis always wide open? If I was facing Diggs and Beasley, and I have like Singletary and Moss coming out of the backfield, he's the guy I'd leave open too. But soon they're not going to.
It's an 8:20 game, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Against the
Beautiful.
Steelers.
So we'll see you guys.
8:20.
We'll definitely see you guys after that post game. We're gonna have some episodes for you this week. I'm gonna try to dust off my computer and put a hype video up as I did last year for the Steelers and the Bills. We just wanted to thank you guys for your undying support of the channel and everything that we do here. You guys drive the show. You guys don't realize how much that statement is true. So I wanted to thank you so much to the Hashtag Nation, the Bills Mafia, for my co-host Paul, who's always, feed me that humble pie. I really appreciate him. For Paul, I'm Mario. Thank you guys for joining us tonight, and go Bills.
Go Bills.